Mohamed Morsi overthrow and criminal trial. On June 30, 2013, millions of people rallied across Egypt calling for President Morsi's resignation from office. Concurrently with these anti-Morsi demonstrations, his supporters held a sit-in in Rabaa al-Adawiya Square. On 1 July, the Egyptian armed forces issued a 48-hour ultimatum that gave the country's political parties until 3 July to meet the demands of the Egyptian people. The Egyptian military also threatened to intervene if the dispute was not resolved by then. 4 ministers also resigned on the same day, including Tourism Minister Hisham Zaazou, Communication and IT Minister Atef Helmi, State Minister for Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Hatem Bagado and State Minister for Environmental Affairs Khalid Abdel Al, leaving the government with members of the Muslim Brotherhood only. On 2 July, President Morsi publicly rejected the Egyptian army's 48-hour ultimatum and vowed to pursue his own plans for national reconciliation and resolving the political crisis. On 3 July, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi announced a roadmap for the future, removed Morsi from office and appointed Adli Mansour, the head of the Constitutional Court, the interim president of Egypt. On 8 July, Prime Minister Kandil, after initially deciding to remain in his position until the formation of a new government, submitted his resignation effective immediately in protest of the subsequent bloodshed to the recent coup d'état when 51 protesters were killed by the military at the Republican Guard headquarters. In mid-November, Morsi claimed that he was kidnapped and held in the Republican Guard house on 2 July. He said that he had been kept there until 5 July and forcibly moved again to a naval base where he spent the next 4 months. The spokesperson of the Egyptian Armed Forces, Colonel Ahmed Ali, later denied the rumors that Morsi was badly treated, saying that they had nothing to hide. The Egyptian army later gave Catherine Ashton, the High Representative of the Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy for the European Union, the permission to meet Morsi. Ashton later stated that Morsi is doing well, saying Morsi was keeping up with the latest developments in the country through television and newspapers. So we were able to talk about the situation, and we were able to talk about the need to move forward. The people around him do care for him. I looked at the facilities. Morsi later met with an African Union delegation. Trial. After his overthrow, Morsi faced several charges including inciting the killing of opponents protesting outside his palace, espionage for foreign militant groups including Hamas, Hezbollah and Iran's Revolutionary Guards, for escaping Wadi al-Nadrun prison during the 2011 revolution prior to his election as president, leaking classified documents to Qatar, in addition to insulting the judiciary. On September 1, 2013, prosecutors referred Morsi to trial on charges of inciting deadly violence. The date was set for November 4, 2013. Morsi was to be tried in a criminal court for inciting his supporters to kill at least 10 opponents, use violence and torture protesters. The prosecutor's investigation revealed that Morsi had asked the Republican Guard and the Minister of Interior to break up his opponent's sit-in, but they refused, fearing a bloody result before Morsi's aides asked his supporters to break up the sit-in with force. On December 18, 2013, Prosecutor General Hisham Barakat ordered the referral of Morsi to criminal court on charges of espionage, in a report headed "The Biggest Case of Espionage in the History of Egypt." According to the Prosecutor General's investigations, the International Organization of the Muslim Brotherhood, aided by Hezbollah and Hamas, is the reason behind violence inside Egypt. The Brotherhood intended to create a state of ultimate chaos by smuggling jihadists into Gaza via secret tunnels in order to receive media and military training and then send the jihadists into the Sinai to implement this training. On January 29, 2014, Morsi faced trial for the second time on the charge of breaking out of jail during the Egyptian Revolution of 2011, after conspiring with foreign militant groups, including Hamas, to spread violent chaos throughout Egypt. The trial was postponed for a month on February 1, 2014, and was resumed on charges of inciting deadly violence. The trial was adjourned to the next day to hear witnesses for the prosecution, and was then repeatedly postponed. In April 2015, the court convicted Morsi, along with 12 other defendants, including former MP Mohamed Belchaji, for the arrest and torture of protesters and incitement to violence. All defendants were acquitted of murder charges. The judge handed down 20-year sentences for Morsi and the others who were convicted. Morsi still faced separate trials for espionage, terrorism, and prison break charges and was sentenced to death on 16 May along with other defendants. The death penalty was imposed on Morsi and 105 others for their role in the Wadi El Nadran prison break of January 2011. In accordance with Egypt's penal code, the sentence was referred to the Grand Mufti, whose assent or dissent is legally non-binding. Amnesty International denounced the court process as a charade based on null and void procedures. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan criticized Egypt and accused Western countries of hypocrisy. While the West is abolishing the death penalty, they are just watching the continuation of death sentences in Egypt. In June 2016, Morsi was given a life sentence for passing state secrets to Qatar. He was one of the defendants in the case along with 2 Al Jazeera journalists who were sentenced to death in absentia. In November 2016, the Court of Cassation overturned Morsi's death penalty on the spying charges together with those of 5 other Muslim Brotherhood members. The same court was to review 2 other charges against Morsi for his role in the January 2011 prison break as well as for allegedly providing classified information to the government of Qatar. Jail. After his ouster, Morsi was held in Tura prison, in a special wing nicknamed Scorpion Prison. A detention review panel, consisting of UK members of Parliament and senior lawyers including Crispin Blunt, Edward Fox, and Paul Williams, reviewed Morsi's detention conditions. Based on the testimonies of Morsi's family and others informed of his condition, the panel noted that he received inadequate medical care for diabetes, called his treatment cruel, inhuman and degrading and said it could meet the threshold for torture in accordance with Egyptian and international law. According to his sons, his health had deteriorated significantly after his imprisonment.